Mushoku Tensei is officially my second favorite isekai, and it's getting one of the greatest adaptations of all time. In fact, I'm gonna make a bold statement here and call Mushoku Tensei the most immersive anime in the fantasy genre, maybe tied with Made in Abyss, I don't know. The point is, this anime is absolutely amazing. Watching it has been an incredible experience, and it deserves 100% of the praise it's been getting. However, it's also been getting quite a lot of criticism as well. As you may have heard, almost all of Mushoku Tensei's negative feedback is tied to its main character, Rudeus. And rude he is. Some of the things he does will make you extremely uncomfortable. He's definitely a bad person, and it's very important that you understand that from the beginning. I went into the anime totally blind, so what I expected was another overpowered isekai protagonist, and what I got was another overpowered isekai protagonist who wants to fuck children. Instead of being a blank slate protagonist for us viewers to insert ourselves into, he wants to insert himself into a 9-year-old. By the way, right now, you need to insert yourself into that like button, because this is my first video that isn't about ReZero, so it probably won't get any views. I'm Echidnut though, I hope you enjoy this. Let's get back to the Konosuba reference. Rudeus decides to fact-check the claim Eris pads her chest, except in this anime, Eris is a literal child.
But Echidnut, that's okay, because Rudeus has the body of a child.
Yeah, on his computer and probably in his basement. Tell it to the judge, asshole. There's no excuse for the disgusting things Rudeus has done. I've heard some very stupid arguments from people defending him, and for some reason they went door to door repeating the same thing to everyone else in the neighborhood. But Rudeus is a pathetic, disgusting excuse for a human being, and I have a hard time believing anyone could think otherwise. Unless they're a novel reader. I haven't read all the novels yet, but for now, I'm just assuming Rudeus will be a good person by the end of the story. If that isn't the case, then this series is shit and I take back all the praise I've given it. But I do have faith that Mushoku Tensei is far more than just the author's perverted fantasy. There may have been a lolly masturbation scene in the second episode, but I thought it was hot and so did you. The problem I had with Mushoku Tensei was the main character's misogyny, pedophilia, and sexual violence that felt very out of place in this otherwise amazing anime. It made me so uncomfortable I considered dropping the series until I realized I was watching the beginning of a redemption arc, and that's when it all made sense to me. If you look at the shape of an arc, it always starts at the lowest point, which is why Rudeus is currently the most despicable, disgusting human being you could possibly imagine. You can't have a redemption arc if there's nothing there to redeem. If Rudeus didn't have these problems, we wouldn't have a story. Mushoku Tensei is about a repulsive degenerate being given a second chance to overcome his problems, which wouldn't be possible if he didn't have said problems to begin with. The problem with these problems is that a lot of us didn't realize they were part of the story. It's very easy to be outraged if we don't know what we're watching. This doesn't excuse the main character's actions, but the anime establishes a clear and direct reason for why Rudeus doesn't care about anyone except himself. His trauma essentially paused his mental development, so he never matured past the mentality of a selfish teenager. He's both the hero and the villain of this anime, and a lot of reviewers chose to ignore that completely and just assume it was poorly written instead. To be clear, Mushoku Tensei is the coming-of-age story of a 37-year-old man. So what we're seeing now is Rudeus at his very worst. So far, he's been treating everyone like NPCs in a video game, but in episode 5, when he watches someone die in front of him, something changes. Unlike Rudeus, their death was permanent and they probably won't be given a second chance. The fact that this bothers Rudeus implies that a part of him still believes these NPCs could actually have feelings. For the first time, he starts considering that the world around him might be real. He's obviously got a lot left to learn, but he does appear to be growing and changing slowly. Apparently too slowly for some people's tastes, because I've read a lot of criticism saying Rudeus hasn't grown at all since he got isekai'd. But the reason for his lack of growth is rather simple. Redemption arcs take a lot longer for kid touchers. He's a piece of shit who got reincarnated in a world where everyone else is also a piece of shit, so character growth wouldn't exactly make sense yet anyway. You can't expect him to become a completely different person just because he became a completely different person. Jokes aside, if Mushoku Tensei was poorly written, perhaps Rudeus would have made some significant development already. In reality though, he isn't a simple character by far, and it takes a long time for people to change, especially someone with deep-rooted issues like Rudeus. The truth is, we're like just barely past the prologue right now, so Rudeus has a long way to go and probably won't become a good person for at least a few seasons. But just because Rudeus is a bad person doesn't mean Mushoku Tensei is a bad anime. It's easy to label shows that make you uncomfortable as poorly written, but Mushoku Tensei is different. Remember that we're watching the beginning of a very long character arc, and if you don't like Rudius right now, good. It would be wrong if you did. We seem to have forgotten that sometimes it's alright to hate the protagonist. I know rooting for main characters is basically our instinctual response at this point, but in Mushoku Tensei, we're supposed to want him to change instead. I've almost gone 6 minutes without mentioning ReZero, so let's use Natsuki's Subaru as a comparison. Just like Rudius, he wasn't supposed to be likable in the beginning either. He didn't go through the necessary development to become the character he is now until Season 1, Episode 18, which is ironically the exact moment most of you started hating him. The point is, it took Subaru almost an entire season to become likable, and even though many of us hated him in some of his early stages, we still enjoyed ReZero because we knew he would develop. We need to approach Mushoku Tensei with that same attitude, but we should also understand that Rudius will take a lot longer to develop because his issues are a lot worse than Subaru's. Let me know in the comments if you think I'll ever be able to make an entire video without referencing ReZero. At the moment, everything about Mushoku Tensei is wonderful except the main character. And that's okay with me because every redemption arc has to start from the bottom. So while the main character is busy jerking off to something that looks like a Nirvana album cover, I'll be over here enjoying everything else the series has to offer. I'll have no problem waiting as many seasons as it takes for Rudius to become a character I can support, because watching Mushoku Tensei is just too valuable an experience to miss out on. I'd love to make some more positive videos talking about everything that makes this anime great, but I thought I'd address the controversy first. In conclusion, Rudius isn't a problem with the story, but a problem that's part of the story. And our problem with Mushoku Tensei is the way we've been viewing it. Most of the negative criticism is from people that either don't understand what the story is about, or people who chose to evaluate the entire series based on Rudius alone, when in reality, Mushoku Tensei is so much more. The main character may be a piece of garbage at the moment, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from enjoying this amazing anime. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed my first video about Mushoku Tensei. I can't wait to talk about it again. There will probably be some people who want to cancel me for supporting an anime like this one, so make sure you subscribe and hit the like button if you haven't already. I would appreciate that a lot. I'm out for now though. Keep talking about Mushoku Tensei. That was a close one. Peace out.